When you vanish without warning from narcissist's life, this is what happens. When a narcissist loses you, it's not just a breakup, it's the collapse of the fake world they built around themselves. And you were a key part of that fantasy. To them, you weren't just a partner. You were a mirror, someone they trained to reflect the image they wanted to see. You made them feel powerful, important, in control. And the moment you stepped away from that role, their entire illusion began to fall apart. On the outside, it might look like they've moved on, posting happy pictures with someone new, acting like you never existed. But that's not reality, it's a performance. Behind that performance is panic. Because when you go silent, you take more than your presence. You take away the emotional support they relied on, the validation, the comfort, the ego boost, and in the quiet that follows, they are left with the emptiness they've always been running from. Now, this isn't about inflating your ego, it's about understanding what's really going on. Narcissists don't grieve like emotionally healthy people do. They don't reflect, they react, they spiral. That first time you ignore them, it's not sadness, they feel anger. How dare you leave? How dare you take your power back? In their eyes, it's not just a breakup, it's betrayal. So while they're pretending to be fine, deep down they're obsessing, writing and deleting messages, stalking your social media, wondering who you're with, what you're doing, and whether you've moved on. And that new person they're flaunting, let's be real, it's not love. It's a replacement. See, people ask, how did they move on so fast? But they didn't. They just filled the gap. And here's the catch. That new person doesn't know the rules yet. They have boundaries. They ask questions. They expect mutual respect. And that's exhausting for a narcissist. You, on the other hand, had adapted. You knew how to keep them calm. You adjusted to survive. You were their custom-fit emotional support system. And now that you're gone, nothing feels the same. No new fling can fill the space you left. No selfie, no party, no revenge romance can give them back the control they lost. Here's the hard truth. They don't miss you. They miss what you did for them. The validation, the emotional labor, the constant support. What they're mourning is control, not connection. So if you're wondering, do they care? Do they regret it? Does my silence matter? Yes, it does. But not in the way you might hope. They don't regret hurting you. They regret losing the access they had to your energy. Your silence doesn't hurt them because they miss you. It hurts because it makes them feel invisible. And that is what narcissists fear most. Not anger, not conflict, but being irrelevant. So don't respond to that message. Don't scroll their feed. Don't check in. You already did the hard part. You walked away. Now the work begins. Healing, rebuilding, and remembering what peace feels like without the chaos. You were never meant to be a mirror for someone else's ego. You were never meant to be their emotional crutch. You're meant to live free, whole, steady, and that's what they never expected. You leaving, and not looking back. Because in the end, the loudest thing you can say to a narcissist is this: nothing. Your silence is your power, and they are crumbling behind the curtain because of it. When a narcissist is with someone new, it's all an act. They are watching their words, measuring every reaction, keeping the charm at full power. And the truth, it's draining them, mentally, emotionally, even physically. But here's the part you don't see in their happy-looking posts and fresh starts. They are still watching you, not because they miss you, not because they've grown, but because your silence left a deep wound, one they can't stop picking at. If you've been through this, you know what it looks like. Fake accounts watching your stories, random run-ins at old places, late-night drive-bys, casual check-ins with mutual friends. It feels accidental, but it's not. It's about control. And here's what most people don't understand. This obsession can last a long time. Years, even. They can get married, have kids, start new relationships, and still check your profile at 3 a.m. Still compare their current partner to you. Still keep old photos in hidden folders. Why? Because you left. You were the one they couldn't keep. You broke the pattern they thought they'd locked you into. And it wasn't just about losing a person, it was about losing a system. A dynamic they built to regulate themselves. You were someone they trained to respond just how they needed. You knew the cues. You adapted. You made their world work. Now, that system is gone. It's like a musician who lost their instrument. No matter how skilled they are, they can't play without it. So they try the same tactics with someone new, but it doesn't work. The new person doesn't react the same way, doesn't play along. The rhythm is off, and nothing feels right. Without the chaos and the drama, the narcissist begins to unravel. They turn to old habits to fill the void: alcohol, sex, shopping, gambling, anything to chase that emotional high they once got from you. But it doesn't work, because it's not you. And that emptiness, it spills out everywhere. They start fights with a new partner. They lash out at work. Friendships grow strained. Even their family starts backing away. People start seeing the cracks. The charm wears thin, and the truth starts slipping through. And in those dark, quiet moments, when no one's watching, things get even worse. That's when the revenge fantasies start. Not small ones, elaborate daydreams about ruining your life, your happiness, your peace. Not because they want you back, but because they want control again. They write angry messages they never send, rehearse dramatic scenes in their head, and sometimes they act on it, spreading rumors, twisting old stories, bringing up long-forgotten things to create drama, even making legal threats over made-up issues. All because they want one thing, a reaction, but you're not giving it to them. And that silence, it's more powerful than any argument. It exposes them. It reminds them that they don't have control anymore. Because in the end, it was never about losing you as a person. It was about losing the control, the routine, the emotional fuel they depended on. Now they're chasing something that doesn't exist anymore. But here's the best part. You're not in that chaos anymore. You got out. So don't look back. Don't wonder if they've changed. Don't be fooled by the show. You're not missing out. You're witnessing what happens when someone loses access to the one thing they thought they'd always control. You. Let them spiral. Let them scramble. Because you're free now. And that freedom, it's louder than anything they could ever fake. Narcissists don't come back for love. They come back for access. For control. For power. That's all it ever was. But here's the twist they never see coming. Revenge loses its impact when no one's watching. What's the point of trying to win if you're not there to see it? What's the point of trying to hurt someone who's no longer reacting? That's why your silence hits harder than anything else. It's not about hurting them. It's about denying them the thing they crave most, your emotional energy. Even if they've moved on, built a new life, started a family, that silence still lingers. But not in some romantic way. They're not missing a love story. They are haunted by the fact that you broke the cycle. You saw through the lies and walked away. And that's what gets to them. You weren't supposed to disappear. You were supposed to hover nearby, stay accessible, be their backup plan. But instead, you vanished. Calmly, quietly, completely. And in doing that, you did something they didn't think was possible. You shattered the illusion that they were untouchable. That's why even years later, your name still stings. Your photo still shakes them. And in moments of conflict with their new partner, you still show up, like a ghost they can't outrun. They'll pretend it means nothing. But it does. Not because they lost a partner, but because they lost control. They lost someone who knew exactly how to keep their world running, who adjusted, who absorbed, who dimmed their light just to keep the peace. And then, you left. No big scene. No final argument. Just silence. And that silence, that was a real blow. Without your reactions, your tears, your attempts to fix it, they are left with only themselves. And that's the one thing they've been running from all along. So they chase distractions, new people, new drama, addictions. But nothing works. Because no one else is you. No one else fits that mold. No one else gives them that same emotional payoff. And here's what they'll never say out loud. They feel the loss. Deeply. Not because they loved you, but because they lost their grip on you. You prove they can be left. That they can be forgotten. So now, with the next person, they tighten their grip. They try even harder to control, to charm, to play the role. But something's changed. The cracks show sooner. The mask slips faster. Your exit shook them. You were the proof that they can't control everything. You showed them and everyone else that something's wrong, that their performance is just that, a performance. Because your silence doesn't just haunt them, it exposes them. And if you've ever wondered, did they regret it? Do they still think about me? Did my leaving matter? The answer is yes, but not in the way you hoped. They don't miss you. They miss the control, the script, the emotional fuel. You became the one thing they can't manipulate, the silence they can't outsmart, the ending they didn't get to rewrite. And when you stopped playing the game, the illusion started to fall apart. That's a wound they'll never fully recover from. Because you didn't just survive them, you disrupted them. You stepped out of their story and started writing your own. And while they are still cycling through new people, still chasing the same highs, still trying to recreate the past, you're building a life that has nothing to do with their chaos. That's the real victory. Quiet, strong, free. You're no longer a piece in their game. You're the proof that people can escape. And that memory, it'll follow them forever, even if they never say it out loud. Because when a narcissist loses you, it's not just a breakup. It's the collapse of the world they built around your reactions. You weren't just someone in their life. You were the mirror they used to feel important. And when you walked away, you didn't just leave. You pulled the plug. From the outside, it might look like they're doing great. You've seen it. Just days after the breakup, they're smiling in selfies, showing off someone new, pretending they've never been happier. But don't be fooled. That's not healing. That's acting. It's a mask. What they want the world to believe is, see, I'm fine without you. You didn't matter. But deep down, it's a different story. Because when you go no contact, when you truly disappear, you don't just remove yourself. You take away their control. You take away the emotional power they used to have over you. And when that control is gone, all they are left with is what they've always been afraid of: emptiness. Now here's what you need to understand. Narcissists don't handle loss like most people do. They don't sit with their feelings and process the grief. They panic. The first time you ignore a message or don't answer a call, they don't feel sad. They feel angry. Because suddenly, they're not in charge of the story anymore. You were supposed to stay stuck in the loop. That's how they planned it. So behind those confident posts and fake smiles, they're spinning out. They're obsessively drafting messages, rewriting them, checking your social media, trying to figure out who you're with and what you're doing. The person who once acted like they didn't care, now they are watching your every move. And that new person they jumped to so quickly, let's be honest, it's not love. It's replacement. They needed someone to fill the space fast. But replacements come with work. Because you weren't just supply, you were trained supply. Over time, you learned exactly how to respond to their moods, how to smooth things over, how to keep the peace. The new person doesn't know the script. They ask questions. They have boundaries. And for a narcissist, that's exhausting. They have to start all over again, pretending, manipulating, performing. It's like trying to replace their favorite fix with something that doesn't hit the same. They want the high, but the satisfaction is gone. That's when the cracks start to show. No matter how many cute posts they share, there's tension underneath. Desperation. A quiet, gnawing feeling that they lost their favorite source of emotional control, and they can't get it back. And here's something important to hear. Yes, they miss you, but not in the way you deserve to be missed. They don't miss your love, your heart. They miss what you did for them, the way you helped them avoid their own emptiness. And now that you're gone, they are forced to face it, alone. So if you've been asking yourself, do they regret it? Do they even care I'm gone? Did I ever matter? The answer is yes, but not because they've changed or want to make things right. They feel the loss in their ego. That's where it hurts the most. Because no matter how hard they try to replace you, it won't work. You were custom-fit supply. You learn how to survive in their world. And now that system is broken. So what do you do with that truth? You protect your peace. You don't check in. You don't wait for closure. You don't hope for change. You left, and that was the hardest part. Now, honor that decision. Don't open the door again. Because the most powerful thing you can do isn't fighting, or hoping they collapse, or waiting for an apology that won't come. It's living. Living a life that has nothing to do with them. A life where their name has no weight, where your choices, your voice, your healing take center stage. They may never give you closure, but you can give it to yourself. And that's the beginning of real freedom.